Hey, what's up, guys? Ellis Outdoors here with you. I'm going to come at you today with my top 5 baits for the month of March. So, there's all kinds of videos like this. There's all kinds of people doing this, and I'm just trying to get in on all the people doing it too. I live in Central Ohio. Um, I go by Ellis Outdoors on TikTok. I go by Ellis Outdoors on Instagram. And then here on my YouTube channel, I'm going to go by Wicked Ohio Outdoors. That way I can bring other people in. It's not just my name. I can have other people do, different talks with me, questions with me. Maybe bring some of you guys in that start to follow me. This is the beginning of my channel. This is the start of my channel. So I appreciate everybody that comes in and watches this video. I appreciate all comments that I can get, any questions that I have. So like I said, this is going to be my top 5 baits for the month of March. So as I said, I live in Central Ohio. So Central Ohio doesn't have the bass that all these other places do. I mean, yeah, we catch 6 and 7 and 8s, and there's a small area in Central Ohio where you can catch a double-digit fish, but it's difficult. It's not. I mean, you see guys go to Lake Murray, you see guys go to the St. Johns River, you see guys go to Okeechobee and catch 8s and 9s all the time. That's not a thing around here. That doesn't happen. So it's a little bit of a different approach when you live in Central Ohio. So first thing we're going to talk about is an obvious one that everybody does, everybody has tied on. But this time of year, you can versatilely fish this bait in so many ways. You can yo-yo it, you can slow retrieve it close to the bottom, you can get it close to structure, you can make it look like so many different types of bait fish. I've got a couple different options that I can show you, but it's gonna have to be a chatterbait, right? And this chatterbait, of course, has that little bit of an orange blade to it. This is a custom chatterbait made by my pro staff, Blind Squirrel Baits. Um, a chatterbait is going to be very key this time of year because finicky fish probably aren't going to eat it, but because of that blade, because of the colors that you can mix and match with the blade, with the skirts, with the trailers, with all that stuff, you can cause a reaction bite. The techniques can cause a reaction bite. A chatterbait is going to get bit this time of year because we're going to have those fish that as the water warms up, they're going to start to move up shallow. They're going to start to get more and more up where you want them to be. So chatterbait, a lot of guys are going to say, well, I throw a spinnerbait. And I mean, I have spinnerbaits ready to go. This is a Venom spinnerbait in the 1/4 ounce. This is a Blind Squirrel spinnerbait, one from my pro staff team, right? Custom color, custom blade. It's a little bit bigger of a profile. I have spinnerbaits ready to go. I'm not saying that you don't throw them, but for my top 5 baits, I'm not going to throw a spinnerbait. The spinnerbait's going to be my last resort if I can't get bit on the chatterbait. I'm going to have a chatterbait tied on. Number 2, and this bait is probably going to be on everyone's top 5 baits for every month because I don't think there's a month that you can't throw this bait and catch a fish. So, of course, it's going to be a jig. This here is a Blue Rock Custom Tackle 1099 XL. I also have a couple from my pro staff. Let me grab some out. This time of year, I really like to throw a little bit of a bigger profile. I also like to throw a lot of browns and oranges. So like this is a custom for me from my pro staff. It's green pumpkin orange, a little bit of black in there with the head to match. This is the, I believe, 3/8 ounce flipping head. Really good design. This is my, I call it my orange crawler, but this is my big football head orange crawler. Really like that for slow dragging in the wintertime. And then, of course, I have my, I can get it out of there. This is my bluegill pattern. And if you don't know this about me yet, because this is just my first video, but I'm very big into the purple. I don't know why, but this is my bluegill pattern here. Really think that thing looks good. This isn't a football head. It's just a 3/8 flipping head. But yeah, those are all the ones from my pro staff. I actually have a box of more coming today. But yeah, a jig, any kind of jig. This time of year, I don't like a big flapping trailer. I don't like one that's all kicking and doing all that stuff. I like like a Berkeley Power Baits max scent bug, something like that, something with just um, something that's not going to kick a bunch of water. Like on this jig here, it has a Missile D-bomb on the back of it, and it has those tails back there, but they don't kick and turn a bunch of water, and that way I can fish it all the ways I do. One of my favorite ways to fish a jig this time of year is just uptight, close to cover. And then one technique that I'll tell you that I learned from a friend is literally just I've never thought about this, but a reaction bite is a big thing in the wintertime with a jig. And the way he fishes a jig, it makes me think that he's fishing anything but a jig. So I'm not going to go into super detail with that because that's kind of his little trademark secret. But the way he showed me to fish a jig in the winter, it's one heck of a reaction bite. And I'm telling you, it's a good way to catch a fish. Now, so that's two. Another one, and I mean, this is just, it's another thing. It's like, I'm going to throw a square bill, right? This is KVD, natural shad square bill. I'm going to throw a square bill all year long. But this time of year, this is when you get out your rock crawlers and your red patterns, your orange patterns, your green pumpkin patterns. I have a couple that I can pull out here. Just a couple different patterns that I really, really like to throw. This is the type of year that you can grab out, like, of course, I have all the hooks tangled in here, so I can't get anything out. Well, we'll show both of them. Who cares? You guys probably want to see all of them anyways. So this is a ghost shad. Sorry, I said ghost shad. Green ghost crawl. I apologize. Green ghost crawl is a shad wrap by Rapala. A little bit deeper diver, a little bit narrower pattern. Works really well. This is a monster bass, a little bit cheaper option, but it's the brown and orange crawl, but it's also the ghost pattern, so you can see it's not as bright and bold. Then we have these here. I got to remember the name. Yeah, Rod Bender Fishing Company. This is that brown back orange belly crawl from them. Really like that pattern this time of year. And then this here, I really honestly am struggling with names today, but this is a really good pattern. It's that green crawl, orange tail, but it has that blue belly. Something I really like to flip around a little bit. Like I said, this time of year, a crawl colored crankbait, whatever your favorite crawl color is, get that thing down there, get it bouncing off the rocks, get it bouncing off cover. All that stuff will really help. All that stuff really, I mean, you really, this time of year in Ohio, it's so cold, and then you have those spurts of warm, so the fish are weird. They're like, some of them are up, some of them are still out deep, some of them are sunbathing, some of them are sitting in the bottom of channels still. So you really got to get them to react to something. You've got to get them to say, okay, I'm going to eat that, because it just made them eat it. You know what I mean? So bouncing like this rock crawler off of every rock down there on a ledge or wherever you throw it, that's going to cause a fish to go, I'm just going to eat that thing. You know what I mean? And one thing you'll see in all these baits that I'm throwing is size. This time of year, throw your finesse rods in the shed, leave them in there, save them things for June and July. Don't even get them out of the boat, or put them in the boat, sorry. There's absolutely no point in having a finesse rod this time of year, because in a tournament, 5 fish that you're going to catch finessing is not going to compete with a guy that gets 5 jig bites. That's just my opinion. Everyone's allowed to have their opinion. I'm sure some of you have a different opinion, but I'm telling you, I would rather catch 5 jig fish or 5 fish on this next bait that I'm going to show you than I would to catch 5 fish with a spinning combo. So I went over 3 of my baits. Another one, now in Ohio, this is a lot of people don't throw this in Ohio. There's some, but not a lot. So right here is a 6-inch blind squirrel baits custom glide, right? This is the Ghost Shad, right? Heavy ball bearings, a lot of rattles in there, right? This thing will make a lot of noise, right? It's also a pretty fast sinking glide bait. So I can get that thing out there on an 8-foot ledge, get it down to where those fish are and put it in front of their face and just slowly work it to me. I can work this almost the exact same as the next bait that I'm going to show you, okay? So you'll kind of see the point behind this. But if you get bit on this in Central Ohio this time of year, you're going to have a 20-pound bag, okay? Because this thing, it's going to draw the biggest fish in the area to this bait, because this time of year, they want to eat a big meal. They want the biggest meal they can eat for the most calories, for the most protein, because they're getting ready to go into the most draining time of their life, right? They're getting ready to go into the spawn where they literally use all of their energy all summer long, or not summer, but spring long, and they're going to be drained. So they got to rebuild everything they've lost from the wintertime very quickly, because at any time that water is going to rise to 60 degrees. They're going to need that energy because they're about to head to beds and they're not going to come off of them for a while. Now, this time of year, in the mornings and the evenings, it's still pretty cold. You know, middle of the day, it warms up. But another thing you can throw and be very successful, and actually in the last tournament that I fished, guys said they caught fish on it. Me, I did not catch fish on it, but I had it tied on because I knew it would probably work. And that is any type of jerk bait. This here is a monster bass jerk bait. It's just, you know, your basic, I believe this one's called Blue Gizzard. I'm not really sure why, but it's got those ball bearings in there. It makes a good bit of noise. Of course, it's a suspending jerk bait. I have one tied on right here, I believe. You guys can see that. That is the Rapala gizzard shad color, natural gizzard shad color. So yeah, jerk bait. What is a jerk bait going to do? The exact same thing as a glide bait does. It gets down there to those fish, but it stays where those fish are as soon as you stop moving it. You can suspend it right there in front of them. You can hold it right there in front of them. You can keep it right there in front of them, and they're going to eat it. Especially if you get it in front of them, they notice it, and then you go bang, bang, and that thing just jerks twice real quick. They're going to come eat it. Now, I always like to throw the ones that are a little bit longer this time of year. A little smaller one works real well in the summertime, right after the shad spawn, because it looks like a smaller bait fish. But this time of year, you want to throw one of the mature versions of a jerk bait, as I call it. And I promise this time of year, you're going to, I mean, you can really throw a jerk bait up until the spawn. Anywhere where fish are schooled up on bait fish, you can throw a jerk bait and get bit. You just got to put it in front of the fish. Do your research on a lake. We fished a tournament fished a tournament Saturday that was, it's one of my home lakes. My partner has fished it hundreds of times. We know the lake well. There was 25 boats and there was only 9 fish caught. This lake fished tough yesterday. But every bait that I've showed you right here are the 5 baits that they use to catch those fish. So once again, guys, that's my top 5 baits from Marks. Any questions that you have, please put them down in the comments. Please like, please subscribe. This is my first video on the YouTube. I'm going to work on getting maybe a little bit of apparel once I see if I get a following. But this is Wicked Ohio Outdoors. I'm Ellis Outdoors. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Instagram. I am willing to answer any questions that you have. I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for joining, guys.